Hey, welcome to the Rubin Report. I'm Dave Rubin, according to all these papers in front of me, and we have by far the best show we've ever had in terms of hair. I assure you of that. Shanna Malcolm, YouTube superstar, and Sam Roberts, the man single-handedly taking over Sirius XM, are with me, and let's get right to it. All right. Congress, have you heard of these clowns? They are taking the month of August off, as they do every year, because, you know, they work so hard for you all the time. They're doing so much good work constantly that they all deserve the entire month off, because you get the whole month off, don't you? Right? Yeah. And let's take a look at the official website as to why they get the whole month off. By tradition and law, Congress recesses for the month of August. During the Senate's early years, members attempted to adjourn in the spring before the summer's heat and oppressive humidity overwhelm them and their small staff. Blah, 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 blah. And then they have to go home. This is a chance for senators to spend time with their families, meet with constituents in their home states, and catch up on summer reading. Right, yes, because they're so busy all the time, they never see their families. They're passing all these good laws for us and all that great stuff. Yeah, but basically this was put in action originally because they didn't have air conditioning, which I'm pretty sure they have now. So, Shanna, you're laughing already. Is this just the most can we expect anything from the government at this point? They get a month off because of they didn't have air conditioning in 1880.
Hey, it's a legitimate problem. Air conditioning, it's hot.
Yeah.
It's hot.
It is hot. And DC gets humid. That is.
I haven't been, so I'll have to take your word for it. But, you know, in terms of is it deserved or earned, that's a whole other, you know, argument as to whether or not 200 years ago it was a good idea. I totally get it 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, not so much.
Yeah.
There are too many things that I think need work in this country for it to be, oh, it's a great idea for you to get a whole month not to do that. But I think the you know, sticking with tradition, this country does have a lot of traditions that we, you know, kind of embrace and keep in place. And so is this one of those things that we get to keep around even though it's kind of antiquated and not of much use to us anymore, and the reasoning behind it is no longer valid? So
wow, you are slightly back in Congress. I completely not. Wow, I cannot. Sam, yeah.
At what point did grown-ups start getting summer vacation?
Yeah.
Like, we're done with this. Like, the kids get summer vacation because, oh, they work so hard in school, and everybody kind of knows that's a joke.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like school's not that tough except when you're in school, and you think it is, and then you get out of school, and you're like, that was really easy. Congress, I mean, it was pretty easy. Yeah. Congress taking summer vacation is like a goof. Like,
doesn't it seem like it's a movie? Like they should be going to summer camp together to learn how to play nice or something. Right?
I mean, I remember when I first realized that if you don't vote in Congress, you just didn't vote.
Right.
Like he's like, oh yeah, he wasn't here for that vote. And I said, they don't even have to go to work.
They don't have to vote. They don't have to go to work half the time, and they don't read the bills.
No,
they're not doing much. I can't believe you're loving Congress. You're part of that 2%.
The only thing I'll say in their defense is, even though this is theoretical, they're not always effective at their jobs. But when they are doing their jobs, in theory, this is a difficult job to do, and so. Well, okay, have you been to Congress lately?
Nay.
I can see you in Congress.
You know what? You are good at that. You're really good at that. Do it again.
Yay. Nay.
Oh, you know what? I changed my whole position.
No, hold on. I'm going with your crazy theory.
I'm just saying that in theory, if they are doing their jobs, that there is a lot of pressure, and if they are using the time accordingly, not the summer reading.
Yeah.
I think you're good with the summer reading, guys.
Like, are they all reading 50 Shades of Grey?
Like, you know what? They have an audiobook. You can just play it in the car on the way to work. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I think in theory, if they are using time to meet with constituents, like it speaks about, if the time is being allocated in that way to really get in touch with the people you're representing and making sure that those needs are being met, then in theory, it's not a bad idea. Right. But that's not actually what's going to happen. They're going to go to the Hamptons. They're going to go, you know, Cabos, and you know, it's all. They're going to come back tan and great. And it's like, I thought you were afraid of AC and the heat. Right. Why are you so tan?
Well, I think that's actually legit. The theory of what's going on here versus how. Because the other thing is that they needed the month because a lot of them lived far away from DC, and they had to get on a horse and buggy. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure John McCain is not riding a horse back to Arizona so he can be yelled at in town hall meetings. Right?
I mean, we're living in 2013 where sometimes people relocate for their jobs and they bring their families with them. I think Congress is able to pack up their family and move to D.C. if they want to be near their family. A lot of congressmen don't want to be near their family. That's why they don't move them
Right,
there.
because their mistresses are all in D.C.
Exactly. August is a terrible month for them because they have to go home.
The poor mistresses in D.C.
They have needs too.
Yeah, all right, so last point on this. Is there any other profession that could get away with this kind of stuff? Like, is there anything else that everybody doing it could be like, no, we're taking the month off. Doesn't even matter what month.
Acting?
Well, actually,
We get a hiatus.
that's true.
You get, your series is off for 3 months, and you get to, take at least a month of that of just, I'm resting.
Well, there you go, people. Actors,
So actors and
politicians, exactly the same. All right, perfect. Okay, let's move on. So I cannot believe this. So President Obama this week announced that we're going to do a review group designed to assess the nation's intelligence and surveillance gathering practices. And who did he assign to put the gang together? Well, he went with James Clapper. You may remember James Clapper from this.
So what I wanted to see is if you could give me a yes or no answer to the question, does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
It does not.
Not wittingly. There are cases where they could inadvertently, perhaps, collect, but not wittingly.
Okay, I really love that video because you remember the episode of Seinfeld when they talked about how if you're lying, the more you're lying, the higher up on your face you're touching. He's literally scratching his scalp off. He's scratching the top of his head off there. So that's James Clapper, who is the director of national intelligence, and that him is lying. He is lying to Congress and to all of us. So of course he's the guy that's going to head the group, that's going to watchdog the thing. Is this just, again, I mean, this sort of is like the previous topic, but is this, who could get away with this but the government?
I like the idea of an accidental spy. Like, oh, we have all this information. We didn't get it on purpose.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
oh, look at this. We happen to have it.
Right, the word unwittingly. Not wittingly.
I'm using perhaps.
Yeah.
The things that are like questionable.
Yeah,
Okay, so maybe, is that what you're saying? You're maybe doing this? But
How do
honestly,
they choose this guy? How does he, doesn't this seem like such a slap in the face? We're going to take the guy who just lied to you, and you all know he lied, so here we go.
are you surprised though? Because I'm
No,
not.
sadly, no.
I'm not in the least, because I thought, was it 2012 or 2011? There was that expansion of the Patriot Act
Yeah.
put in place by Obama, and
Yeah.
I thought, this is not. And then in the advent of the Snowden and all of this being found out in terms of, hey, look, you're a big fat. I was going to say Greek liar, but you're a big fat liar.
Yeah, he's
But
not Greek. as
He's
far
not
as I
Greek.
know. Yeah.
Darn.
Not on purpose.
That play on words doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
But so with the combination of two things being that Obama's in office and he's deliberately extended the scope and the power of the Patriot Act,
Yeah.
and then this being found out, I'm not surprised that he has a conflict of interest now that because the public is aware of it. I have to conduct an investigation. Well, who's going to investigate this in the least beneficial way
The
to
guy.
ensure the guy that
Yes.
lied to everybody's faces?
Yeah. So does this go to like the problem with Obama sort of is that we all still want to like him? Like even the way you just said that, there's this feeling like, oh, he plays basketball. He seems to kind of like weed. Like, you know what I mean? He hangs out with Jay-Z and Beyonce. So we all kind of want to like him. So even when he does stuff like this, there's this feeling of like, well, it can't really be Obama's fault, even though he did it.
Right. It's not like you don't want to admit, okay, if it's not Obama's fault, then there are people that are just walking all over this guy. That's like, this is what we're going to do.
That's the
Barack.
scary part. Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah,
You know?
that's the scary part, right?
Yeah.
If he's not in charge, then who is it? Now
Then
we're
who
going
is?
slightly off topic here.
But it becomes clear, like when this guy's put in charge, the only purpose of this group is for that guy to say, well, no, you can't say it like that. No, that's not information you can put out there. No, you're gonna have to look a little harder. Like
Yeah.
if anybody actually finds any real information of wrongdoing, that guy is there.
That's the guy who's getting fired.
Yeah, and he's
right?
there to say, well, that's not going to be on this report.
Yeah.
Nope.
He's going to go, well, wittingly, we can't put that in this
It's like
report.
those old-fashioned redacted files where you see everything is blacked out except hello and the dates, and it's like,
Yeah.
that's exactly what's going to be found. Oh, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
Of course, in a redacted file, there's nothing.
So is that part of it then, that even if they had chosen someone that was respected, that we already all know the outcome of this? They're not going to change anything, right? I mean, Obama was on Leno last week saying we don't spy on Americans, but pretty much everything that I've seen since then says the complete reverse.
And I think it's, maybe we don't want to know. Maybe it's them assuming that the American people don't actually want to know really.
Yeah.
And if there was really if there was a way to find someone who is truly impartial, who would really delve into this thoroughly and actually reveal, hey, these are the findings, it would be terrifying, because it would be like, oh my God, you know this about me and this and that about, and maybe it would create widespread panic. And that's the rationale to we'll just put the appearance of we're going to investigate, but we're going to make it so that you're not really expecting an answer, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I pretty much believe what you just said there. I believe that to be true, that they just have to keep sort of lying to us. The lie is so big that they just kind of have to keep lying, otherwise the whole house of cards falls. But is that kind of sad that America has gotten to that?
Of course it's sad, but even in best case scenario, you know that if somebody completely independent is put in charge, and they're like, look at all this stuff we found, then whoever doesn't want them to find that out will be able to say, well, look at all this stuff that we have on you from when we were spying.
Exactly.
Maybe you don't want to put it out.
That is the huge part that nobody's willing to talk about. The chill effect of this whole thing is that everybody has watched porn, right? And not saying you're watching illegal porn of any kind, but married people are watching porn without their wife knowing. So now you get this guy to, you know what I mean? And then he's going to be like, oh, I guess everything's okay,
It looks fine. Or, I have this file on you. Well, we have this file on you. Naughty Nurses 8. Oh, I don't have this file on you. You know, it's...
Exactly. Man, we are truly becoming a Philip K. Dick novel in this country. All right, but this is a perfect segue, because Mashable has just come out with an Internet Bill of Rights. I think this is an absolutely brilliant idea. Let's put it up on the screen. So they're sort of using it off of our Bill of Rights here in the United States, if we still have them, I'm pretty sure. Let's start at number 1. The user shall have the right to access the internet. Okay, sounds good. Number 2, each and every user shall be offered equal protections of privacy and free speech, regardless of nationality, religion, or political beliefs. There's a lot of countries that wouldn't buy into that one. Number 3, the user shall have the right for his or her view of the internet to be uncensored and unrestricted. Again, a lot of countries not happy about that. The user has the freedom to choose and control with whom he or she shares his or her activity or personal information. Furthermore, data that a user uploads to an online service shall not be shared with other users except at their consent. I think they will call that the Facebook rule. Number 5, the user has the right to his or her original content, works, and information she uploads or produces for the internet. Instagram's not going to be happy about that. The user shall have the right to terminate his or her participation with any online service at any time. If a user wants to terminate a relationship with a web-based service, the user shall have the right to delete his or her user data from said service. That's a lot of words. 7, the user's online data and personal communications, including but not limited to email, instant messages, social media, audio, video conferences, shall have the same legal protections as a user's traditional letters, phone calls, and any other physical correspondence or records. Gmail actually just won a lawsuit saying the complete reverse of that this week. Number 8, no entity, government, law enforcement agent, corporation, or human may collect, examine, steal, or otherwise utilize a user's data without the permission of the user, barring legally justified data collection, search, and seizure. I'm pretty sure James Clapper wouldn't be on board that one. Number 9, the user shall have the right to remain anonymous online and shall only reveal his or her identity to whom they choose. The YouTube commenters definitely are going to be happy with that one, right? And number 10, the user shall have the right to use the internet without his or her activity or communications being monitored by any government or agency. And pretty much every government or agency is watching us now, so nobody's going to be happy with that. Okay, so I want to start with you on this one because you're a big YouTuber. You put a ton of stuff out online. You guys both do. Do you think something like this is necessary first?
Necessary? I definitely think there need to be rights that are clarified and because this is the Wild West in terms the internet, the digital space is something that is being taken advantage of by so many people and so rapidly, and the growth was so much more rapid than anyone anticipated. So much so that now, we're just now trying to play catch up in terms of what the rules are. So I think there definitely needs to be something put in place. This particular Bill of Rights is very idealistic, and I love it. I love it in theory. In theory, I think it's brilliant, but I think I love the theories, but I can see the holes in it already. I think anonymity in the face of ownership is something that's a little bit, I'm not sure how you're going to play those two cards at the same time.
Yeah.
If I don't want to, if Heyyoshanna became a persona and Shanna Malcolm's name was nowhere affiliated with it, and someone wants to repost my content, how does the logistics of that get executed? So there's some of these things that are a little questionable. I love that it reaffirms rights. I think the United Nations in '97 said that internet was a basic right for everybody. So I like that it reaffirms certain things. I do think there should be, unrestricted use of the internet, but I do think there are things like the Patriot Act in place. And, it's a little unrealistic to think that you're going to be able to watch and do and use anything on the internet without some kind of monitoring. And I do love that it goes clearly to say, no matter what nation and race and all of it, that's great in theory.
Yeah.
But, there's the argument of the violation of some of my personal rights to ensure my safety, which is what they keep, shoveling down our throats. They say that all the time. But at the same time, if someone says to me, hey, this could have been avoided if you had allowed us to go into this person's whatever it is months ago, and that's why, you've lost a leg in a horrible accident. Oh, crap.
Right. You've given me a lot of stuff to work off there.
Sorry.
So, no, that was great. So is part of the problem here, which I think Shanna is addressing, that we got all this stuff too soon. We didn't even know what this was. You know what I mean? We all jumped on Facebook without really understanding that we were the product. Our brains and all the information we put out there is the product, which is why they give it to us for free. And now we've just sort of lost control of this digital beast.
Yeah, I think so. And I also think that people don't like it when it's spelled out exactly what Facebook, exactly what Gmail, exactly what these places are doing.
Yeah.
But they don't stop using them. You know what I mean? Gmail has made it very clear. We are going through your emails.
Yeah.
We're looking for keywords, and we're targeting advertisers to you based on your private emails.
Yeah.
But people are like, yeah, but it's 8 gigs. So, I mean,
that number just keeps going. You know what I mean? The number keeps getting higher.
And Facebook's yeah, we're going to share your pictures, and we're going to share this, and we're going to store all this, and we're going to give that to advertisers.
Yeah.
Then everybody goes, well, what am I not going to have a Facebook page, though? I mean,
Yeah. Do you think partly it's because it's not a physical thing? So we just keep clicking yes on all these long agreements,
exactly it.
and it's like you don't have something to really sit there. Nobody scrolls down the iTunes thing.
this is back to Congress. Who's reading all those bills? They're in paper. If you had a 14-page contract in front of you, you're not reading it. You're like, this is okay, right?
The paper contract I am, but
14 pages.
I read every
that
single
kind of
page.
time.
However, you're absolutely right. I think it's because it's digital.
Right, you can
we
just
scroll down and we hit, I acknowledge whatever it is, and it's not a signature, so it's like, it's fine. I just need to go on to the next page.
Yeah.
Because when Instagram's policies became public, and I was like, literally people were upset about it, but when they looked back, there weren't any changes really to what it had always been.
Right. It just went public.
It just went public, and you're doing what?
Yeah.
We've been doing this. What are you talking about? Why are you
You're doing
upset?
this thing that I signed up for. I can't believe that you do
understand.
Because they
that.
present you with this 14-page thing, and you're like, yeah, but everybody's on Instagram, right? So how could it be bad?
Yeah.
Click yes.
You know, it's funny when they have the one that you actually have to scroll down a little bit to get the button just to light up so you can say accept, because they know that people were just hitting accept, so they were like, oh, well, we'll make them scroll down a little, because that's...
And you sit there going I can't believe I have to scroll through this
So
thing.
annoying, right?
Yeah.
Right?
It's a lot to deal with. All right, well, we plowed through that one quick. But yeah, there's a lot of crazy digital stuff out there, and you got to be somewhat aware. Who knows? We'll see if this thing happens. All right. I have a rule that, especially on Twitter, I do not tweet or talk about the Kardashians. But this story is so idiotic that I felt it warranted me breaking my own rule. So Kim and Kanye, which is Kimye, or is
Kimye.
it's Kimye, and their child North. They have a new car, and it is a $1 million bomb and bulletproof vehicle that is a takeoff of what President Obama uses. Let's take a look at this thing. So that is what it's going to look like. This thing is literally $1 million. Some of this stuff is just completely insane. It has whale penis skin upholstery. If it wasn't clear there, whale penis skin upholstery, which is the best. I mean, you have that.
Oh, I do.
How many whale penises does it take to upholster a car?
A lot.
Two.
Two?
Yeah,
Only
like,
two.
they're probably
I guess
very big.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does the whole car with two.
Like
That's
a
it.
killer whale penis, you could probably do
Probably
4
do-
cars.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
It also has jewel-encrusted snake ornament. All right, so let's throw up the cartoon of the second car they're getting, which is the actual mock-up of Obama's car. And here you go, there's Obama sitting. He posed for that, actually. And he's very, and you can see this is not going to have the whale skin penis interior yet, exactly. Okay. But yeah, and it's $1 million. It's going to withstand bombs and bullets and all this crazy stuff. What is the point of becoming a celebrity if you have to have a bomb-proof car?
What boggles my mind about this whole thing is, like, at least Kanye West has said some political things that have gotten some people mad. Can you imagine being Kim Kardashian and saying, I don't do anything, and that makes people so mad, I think they might throw bombs at my child.
Right. Exactly. Well, there's a ton of hate for the two of them, and I think some of it is warranted in the way the Kardashians flaunt the money and have just put this awful thing on us. And obviously Kanye's done a lot of controversial stuff, but like having to drive around in a bomb is this that they want the idea of this?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I personally, I would say they, and that's an unfair generalization to include Kanye in this, but he's now affiliated with Kim so much so that they're just, Kimye.
Yeah.
But Kim Kardashian has made a career of her relevance being about people talking about her.
Yeah.
And you have to stay current. Well, I was pregnant, and then I did a sex tape, and that made me famous enough to do a reality show, and then I had to sell off my wedding pictures, and my wedding ended. My marriage ended 2 seconds later, right. And then I need to get pregnant now, so I'm gonna be affiliated with this guy, and no, the baby's here, and I'm gonna give it a ridiculous name so that people are still talking about me. What does she do now?
What's next? So do you think? Okay, so that I think is the interesting part of this. Do you think that they actually sit down and they're like, what can we do now to get back in let's get a bomb-proof car because those schmucks at HuffPost are going to post it, exactly. And all these idiots like me are going to talk about it. Is it really that calculated?
I think that they sit there going, well, what can we do next? I don't know that they actually ask that question, but Kanye thinks highly of himself, and you may not want to put him in the category of Kim Kardashian, but you also know that whale penis skin was his idea. He loves his fabrics. Yeah. But he's sitting there, and he's going, you know what? We should get a bomb-proof car.
Yeah.
He thinks very highly of himself. And Kim's like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then her mom comes out like a little gremlin from around the corner, like, yes, exactly. And then that's when they start thinking of how ridiculous can we make this car to get it up
to
on,
get that attention.
We were talking on the show a couple weeks ago about how when the royal baby was born, I was saying how I actually think that America, not that we need a royal family, but I think England gets something sort of healthy out by having a royal family, that we want Obama to be everything, where they get it out a little bit with the royal family and then their politicians can actually do politics. Are we getting royal families like are we getting some of that stuff out where we treat people like Kim and Kanye like the royal family at this point?
Please God, tell me you're not saying Kim and Kanye would be the equivalent of our royal.
For the American version of it, okay, sadly, I think.
Okay, next plane to Jamaica. I'm leaving. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Trust me, this is not what I want. This is just sort of the state of America, that we have this equivalent of the royal family, like these people. And not just them, there's others too.
And America's accepted it. I mean, who's on the cover of all the British tabloids? Is the royal family. Who's on the cover of all the American tabloids?
Yeah.
Is Kimye.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean,
you're shocked and appalled.
Who would you put as the American royal family?
Anybody but them. Anybody.
Yeah, a bunch of drunk alcoholic murderers like the Kennedys, maybe, or the Bushes. They're inbred idiots. Okay.
Please, them. Anyone.
All right. Well, I promise you, I am going to not talk about them anymore. I broke my own rule here, and we'll see what happens. All right. Pole dancing, people, it's back. It never left, I guess. And organizers of the World Pole Sports Championships want to reform pole dancing to make it respectable enough to be in the Olympics. Now, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with what pole dancing is, but here's a slightly cleaned up version that could end up in the Summer Games one of these days.
People think so many different things. Yeah, it's changed. When I started 10 years ago, I'd speak to someone and I'd say, I teach pole. And the first thing they would say is, you're going to dance for me.
At the World Championships for pole sports in London, athletes from 10 years old to over 60 are here to compete and change attitudes. Like gymnastics competitions, the emphasis here on levels of technical difficulty and flawless execution, not sex appeal.
Okay, that obviously does take some level of athletic skill. And the Olympics has done some odd things lately. They've gotten rid of wrestling, they've gotten rid of baseball, so there might be room for pole dancing, as crazy as that sounds. Is pole dancing an Olympic sport? Will you get on a pole and train for 2020?
I've been on a pole,
Yeah?
and I would represent this great nation on a pole. No one wants to see that. But no, I do think there is, as you've said, a certain level of athleticism that is required of this. You know, I've seen many a pole dancer on many a continent, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And they work hard for that money.
They do.
You know, I do think, however, that they have to take away a certain, I won't say an essential part of pole dancing is the sexuality or the sensuality of it.
Yeah.
But they are kind of trying to strip that away, pun intended, to make this more a respectable sport.
Yeah.
And so even though there is the athleticism, there's the argument that if you have to change so much of its very nature to let people perceive it in this light, it may not work.
Do you have to totally de-sexify it to make it work? Because we have plenty of you know, you look at women's tennis, it's so based in, it's all the pretty women that everyone seems to care about, right?
Well, if you have to do that version of pole dancing, yeah, they just said 10-year-olds.
Right.
Or pole. You can't have 10-year-olds
Which is young
pole
for the
dancing.
pole, I'm just saying.
That's
You
a little
think?
young for
That's
the pole.
a young age for the pole.
Yeah.
Just putting it out
But
there.
I think, I mean, there's so many stupid Olympic sports. There's no reason to sit, like, there are just as many sports in the Olympics that are dumber than pole dancing.
I totally
I
agree.
mean, archery is like, what?
Archery's hard. I've done
There are
archery.
lots of things that are
She's
difficult.
pole dancing, she's doing archery.
Hey,
What else do you do?
Lots of, you know what I'm saying? The list is long and distinguished, or actually not that distinguished.
But at least with pole dancing, there's like a future to it. Like after like with archery, once the Olympics are over, what are you gonna go? Archer somewhere else?
People use a bow and arrow to get out. What do you mean? You kill a deer and you have venison for dinner.
So all right, you get
You
your
live
dinner
in New
out
York
of it.
City. You don't know what people are doing
Zombie
out there.
apocalypse? You'll be wanting to hang out with
Yeah,
me
but
and
the
my
pole
bow and
dancers
arrow.
will be able to distract the zombies.
That's right. What's that guy's name from Walking Dead? If he didn't know how to use that bow and arrow, would he have been able to do all that he's done?
True.
See?
I think that might have been a fictional
Is that a
portrayal, but
fictional
I'm not
story?
sure.
Is that a fictional story?
But pole dancers have some place where they can work after the Olympics. They can make a living for themselves.
Yeah,
It should.
that's true.
Maybe it should be the other way around. It should be a way to get the ladies off the pole in the clubs is to say, hey, if you train hard,
Right.
you could represent your great nation.
But isn't that ironic, though? Because the girls that are doing this in the clubs and in the strip clubs that are giving lap dances, a lot of them are putting themselves through college. They're actually making a lot of money. I think it's very empowering for women. Actually, while the people that are doing Olympic stuff, you know, they're not getting paid. And there's all these stories about how all these people win Olympic gold and then come home and they're broke and don't know what to do with their lives.
And you want to talk about endorsement deals? Can you imagine when the Hustler Club gets to put on their marquee that a gold medalist pole dancer is dancing tonight?
Yeah.
There's a lot of money to be made in this.
People would pay cover for that.
Yeah.
You would pay cover, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I'd pay cover for
Things
whatever.
from, like
but-
baby fat and on those jeans that they could like clap their butts with it.
See?
There's so many more uses. I'm endorsing this sport for the Olympics. Absolutely.
Juicy would finally
Oh my God.
advertise with an Olympic
Oh
sport.
my God.
They would
Love it.
mop up.
Love it.
All right, well, I'm pretty sure I know what Shanna's next YouTube video will be. All right, okay, we got one more. So Queen Latifah is getting a talk show. Pretty much everyone has a talk show. If you don't have a talk show, you're, why? Okay. So Queen Latifah is getting a talk show, and she has already announced that she is not going to talk about her personal life and her sexuality, which is kind of curious considering that's what most talk show hosts do. This is very similar to when Anderson Cooper got his talk show, it was about a year and a half ago, and wasn't going to talk about his personal life, eventually came out. Now, first off, I know nothing private. I am not privy to any secret lesbian information, so I am not announcing here that Queen Latifah is a lesbian, but it seems to be standard knowledge that Queen Latifah is a lesbian, which makes no difference to me. I think it would be great if she came out. If she doesn't come out, that's fine too. But the idea that you're going to be a public figure at this point in 2013 with all the way gay rights have moved forward and gay marriage and all that, it almost seems like she doesn't deserve it. I don't want to be that judgmental, and as a gay person especially, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt here. But I see this as just a really terrible sign of how to go about doing public stuff. How's that?
I also just think it's highly problematic. I think that one of the main reasons that it's a tool that we see in terms of interview style, daytime shows and talk shows, it's because it's a way of putting your guests at ease. So if I'm sitting here and I'm talking about, I just had my baby and my husband and I quarreled, and you're like, okay, that's really sad. So,
Right.
you're here to promote your movie. Yeah, it's about, how this romantic comedy of me falling in love for the first time, and it's really super awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That would be awkward. And if everything is an awkward segue to something else because you won't allow that kind of a rapport to that naturally flows in conversation.
Yeah.
And I also think because she started out in entertainment, it's very different when you start out as like an Oprah Winfrey,
Right.
who started out as a reporter. So on this side of things where it's a little bit more detached.
Yes.
But you're starting out as an entertainer, and I think that's part of the draw and the comfortability. And if you
Is that
don't
they
have
should know you.
They should know you and
Yeah.
feel like they can talk to you, and you can,
Yeah.
talk to them.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
whole point of giving a person a talk show. Like, it's not like Queen Latifah sitting there going, well, I'm a singer, so I don't talk about my personal life. I sing. I'm an actress. I act. I don't talk. I talk. Like, it's the Queen Latifah show. What are you doing a show for?
Right, and to go ahead and announce before the show, here's the topic I'm not going to talk about. The one thing that actually everyone wants to talk
Right.
about is the one thing I'm not going to talk about. But giving her a little bit of leash here, is it unfair of us to ask this of gay people? And I'm really only playing devil's advocate here because obviously I've put myself out there in that regard, so I don't agree with it personally. But is there some unfair aspect that we demand her to be, or public people to be totally open about who they are?
Personally, I think that where we are, it's 2013, and we're living in a space and in a time that is the most accepting and the most embracing of homosexuals in media than it's ever been. And I think she's at a particularly powerful position in terms of her career. It's not as though she's a newbie who may be afraid that, oh my God, I won't work after this if anyone finds out or whatever. You're Queen Latifah. I couldn't take a job from you if my life depended on it. You know what I mean?
Only good would come of it.
Right.
Like, only things that would help other people, and people watching her being like, oh, she was strong enough to do that. I should do that. And why don't we learn from history? It drove Rosie insane, literally insane, that she had to go on and pretend to be in love with Tom Cruise and throw koosh balls at the audience and not be herself on the Rosie show.
Right, and I've talked about this with Rosie. I mean, after she came out, I mean, look, her career took off again, and she was back on The View. She had a show on Sirius for a while, and now she's a mother again. Like, it saved her life.
People like when people are being themselves.
Yeah.
And you'll isolate some of the audience, and so it's a little more polarizing, so it might be a little riskier.
Yeah.
But people like it when people are themselves.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it would be polarizing. You look at someone like Ellen DeGeneres and I'm
It's
like,
not.
how is it polarizing? She's a cover girl, as is Queen Latifah.
Right, isn't actually Queen Latifah, again, if she is a lesbian, so stupid, but if she is a lesbian, isn't she the one that's actually causing the polarization now? Because nobody cares, not only does nobody care, but I know this from talking about this stuff all the time, I can't wait till the day comes that I never have to talk about another gay rights issue, when everything is completely equal and everyone's out or not, or who they are, and that's it, and we never have to do this again. It's exhausting for me. I'm sure as straight people it must be exhausting for you guys.
Queen Latifah coming out would be that classic case of somebody coming out and being like, this is my announcement, and everybody going, we know.
Yeah.
We knew. Like,
Right.
yeah, obviously.
Right. She
You know,
wouldn't
and it's
have to
not,
give-
we still think the same. You're still
Nothing's
Queen
changed.
Latifah.
She's still Queen Latifah. And it's also problematic, I think, from the perspective of you want people to invite you into their homes every day. You want people to tune in, turn on a channel, and make sure to watch you at 3 o'clock on whatever her time thing is. I think it's a daytime show.
Yeah.
And I think part of that, it's similar to the YouTube space of they need to feel like they know you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that you went ahead and announced preemptively, I'm not going to allow you to get to know me.
Right, you made a preemptive strike. That's the weird part. All right, so final thought on this, because we all are in the world of talking and entertaining and all that kind of stuff. How much of yourself do you feel is legit to kind of hold back for your audience and for your public
I think
persona?
part of being a public figure and asking people to treat you as such. Like, I want you to make it so that I can make a living just being myself, and I just get to be me, and you just watch me, is you are completely open about yourself, and I brought my wife unwillingly into the spotlight. Yeah, she's here. But she's had secrets about her put on the air that she didn't like, and I've had every piece of information possibly about me that I can think of. Oh, this is funny. This could entertain somebody. Throw it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's disrespectful to your audience to not just completely, if you're going to be a public figure, be public.
Yeah, and it's so funny because that's, to me, the secret of Howard Stern's success and most successful people is just be honest about who you are and that kind of thing. What about you? Because you play a lot of characters also, but there's still truth in them.
There is still an essence of truth. I mean, my channel is a lot more outrageous than I'm being right now, but that's an aspect of my personality. I do say crazy still sometimes and talk like, just because it's comic relief and I'm a silly person, but I can have an intellectual conversation as well, and there are aspects of my channel that show that. I do think, just playing a little bit of devil's advocate, that whether or not you're a public figure, you do want some amount of personal space. But as a public figure, that personal space is smaller.
Yeah.
You are saying, I'm not going to expect the same level, say not telephoto lenses through your blinds into your bedroom.
Right.
But, so there's still a certain amount of, okay, I know when I'm out and about, people may come up and say, I want a picture, or I want that, that's a part of that part and parcel. But there is still a sense of, if you want me to feel like I can relate to you, there has to be communication happening. There has to be a sense of, I can share that, if I can come on your show and talk about these things, it's because you made that a safe space. And part of that is that you've made that topic or whatever it is open and safe, and I can just be myself and share that with you, and you have to do the same. So I think there's a responsibility there.
All right, well, I hope we made this open and safe, and you felt that you could be you while you were watching. Shanna Malcolm, Sam Roberts, their Twitters are down there. You can find them on YouTube, and we'll put all that stuff down there. And there is a subscribe button, which they yell at me every week. You have to tell people to subscribe. You just have to click it once, and then that's it. It's very, very simple. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll do it again next week.